I've invited John Wells of WebWise Design to join me here to talk about website development. John, before we get into the actual questions and the how-tos of website design, tell us a little bit about your company, your experience doing websites, and also the company itself.
Well, I'm very much like a lot of your audience. I started myself, I started out in my proverbial spare room in my house and learned how to create websites. Hired my first employee. I did that in 1995. And
so you've been doing websites since 1995?
Yeah, July of 95 was when I first started. August of 95 was when I put my first website online.
Okay.
In September, October of 1995, I put a website up for the city of Fenimore and one for our local realtor. And I do websites, we still do websites for those two. First Labor Day, day after Labor Day in 1996, I hired a graphics designer, and in December I hired '96 I hired another programmer, and then we grew from there.
How many staff people do you have now?
There are currently 7 of us, and we have 2 just really talented graphic designers. We have 3 really talented programmers that do a lot of our heavy lifting type programming.
Okay.
We actually do some web applications for back of the house type of things, as well as small websites. We have clients ranging from single individuals and mom and pop shops to large corporations with multiple locations.
Without giving any business secrets away, I mean, how many websites have you done for professionally since you started? A rough idea.
150, somewhere in that
Okay.
range.
Now, if somebody wants to look at the type of work that you do, you obviously have your own website. What's your web address?
It's webwisedesign.com.
Webwisedesign.com. Okay. Now, when I come to you, or anybody else comes to you and wants to talk about doing a website, there's certain questions that I'm guessing everyone asks. Now, the first one probably is, how much is it going to cost me? I'm going to spare you that one because we've had this discussion before, and it's one that we will get into in one of our future interviews. But what are the first things from your perspective that we need to talk about in order for you to develop an effective website for my business?
All right. I will address the cost thing just real briefly. What it's going to cost will come after we answer all of these other questions. So people really need to know all of these things that we're going to discuss before any real web designer can give them a cost.
Okay.
It's not per page, it's because of the answers to all the questions that we're going to eventually talk about.
Okay.
So
where do I start?
Number one is why do you want a website? What's your objective?
Well, I'm on a website because everybody else has a website, and I guess I've got to have one too. Doesn't that make sense?
Well, and that's good enough reason if you'd like to, and then you should just get online and create a website for yourself and have some fun. And the only people that will get there are the people that you tell that it's there, and you'll have just a nice little community between you and your friends and your family, and that's the number of visitors you'll probably end up with. If you are serious about a business,
Okay.
then you should be serious about who you hire to design your website. It should be a web professional.
So, and when you're starting with that first question, then of why do I want a website? I have to have something very specific to talk to you about.
Well, there are different types of websites for different objectives.
Okay.
So if you're looking for an informational website, that's one of the whys. I just, I want people to know who we are and where we are, and that's all I care to get out there. And we can help you with that, and we do some of that. A simple little information site that has an about us or about me, whichever, and talks about your services or your products, and tells where you are and your hours that you're open. And
sort of like a yellow page listing.
Yeah, a glorified yellow page. And if we do one of those things for you, it's going to get found better. It's going to People are going to know you're there. Can you do that yourself? Possibly. Is it going to look like you did it yourself? Most definitely.
Okay, well, I've done some of my own website work in the past, and I can tell you that I don't do that anymore. It can be done, but the reality is, if you want an effective looking professional looking website, something that matches what you're trying to do as a business, then you're going to have to work with someone who is in the business of developing good websites. So that first question, going back to why do I want a website, how detailed do I have to be on that? Do I have to walk in to you with a whole list of an outline of what I'm trying to accomplish?
I don't know that you need a whole outline, but it's something you should be thinking about before you come into it and have an idea about it. We're going to help you round that out because we'll ask some questions to round that out a little bit.
So I don't have to have all the answers
You
before
don't have
I
to have
walk
all the
in.
answers before you walk in. We're going to help you with that. But you really should, if you don't know why you're going to have it, you probably don't need one.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a very good point. The other, when we talk about the second thing, that the first one is why do I want a website? The second point on that you need to have answered if we're going to develop a website.
Who are you trying to attract? What's your audience? Is it, is your product or information a real niche that you're trying to reach? Or is it a certain demographic? Is it male only? Is it female only? Is it seniors? Is it kids? You need to know who it is,
And so I can't get away with just saying, well, I want everyone to visit my site.
You can, but what you'll end up with is a lot of people you'll get a lot of people there that aren't interested in what you have to offer. And so getting a lot of traffic, and we'll get the opportunity, I believe, to discuss this later, but everybody wants to know how many hits they got in traffic. They want, the important thing is the outcomes you get out of it. How many people filled out a form that asked for more information? How many phone calls did you get? Or how many sales did you get? Those are the important measures, and we'll talk about those down the road too. But if you try to be everything to everyone, you're going to end up with not much of anything.
Okay. Well, good advice, and this is where we start. And what we're going to do, this is going to conclude our first session, but what we're going to do in the next session is I'm going to actually walk through the steps and answer the questions that John raised here for my particular website, and you can do the same for your own as just following an exercise of how we develop a website. So John, thank you very much for joining us for this first session, and we'll be having another session in a few days and putting it online as we follow up and develop a website from start to finish.